support in Indian Wells. Look at this. I mean, this was in Australia. Court 6 literally had a line. I know I'm exaggerating, but it went for miles at the Aussie. It was wild scenes there. Allie, can you remember a women's star who gets this type of support wherever she goes?
Yeah, well, Taylor Swift? I mean...
Yeah, for sure.
A 21-year-old Filipino is accomplishing something that Grand Slam winners and world number ones seem unable to. She is breaking the internet, packing stadiums, and causing tournament organizers to worry about crowd control. Now, experts are openly questioning whether she is the biggest attraction in women's tennis. The largest draw, not the best player. These discussions are quite different. Do you believe that Alex Eala is now the most intriguing name in women's tennis? Please leave your response in the comments, regardless of ranking. Sincerely interested in people's opinions on this.
I'd have to say maybe a little bit of Sonia Mirza. Back in her heyday, obviously the Indian fans took to her and they followed her all around the globe. Obviously not to this extent, and I think the ceiling that Alex Eala has is obviously that much higher. And I'm gonna bring in a little boxing here because my dad wanted me to be a boxer, but I chose tennis. But Manny Pacquiao.
Good call.
Manny Pacquiao, we saw him when he, was at the top of his game, and alongside Roger Federer, he actually had more prize money. So I think that if Eala, can keep doing well with her tennis, who knows? The sky's the limit on the court, off the court. I mean, she could be rolling in it, if you will.
Yeah.
Let's begin with a figure that has no right to exist. 171,000 people watched Alex Eala's pre-match press conference at the 2026 Australian Open. 80,000 has been pulled by Novak Djokovic. 9,000 were pulled by Aryna Sabalenka. If necessary, read that again gently. 9,000 people watched the world's top women's players' press conference. She is a multi-Grand Slam champion who dominates matches with the kind of strength that makes opponents appear to have attended the wrong event. Eala drew almost 20 times that amount. Furthermore, no one in the tennis community is acting as though that figure is typical.
Remember last year when she beat Iga Swiatek, and she kind of did it with a lot of grace and humility, and it was really, for me, it was terrific to see her take that match and watch her play after that and watch her try to continue to progress, because I like her game. Obviously, she wants to get better than where she is now, than 32 in the world, but she's got a lot of good hand-eye coordination and ability to take the ball early and redirect. But the fan stuff is always fun for me, because whenever you see players from smaller countries, the fans are so passionate when they get up to the top.
It's interesting, Ali mentioned Sonia Mirza. She has nearly 13 million followers on Instagram. That's 5 million more than Carlos Alcaraz, and nearly as many as Alcaraz and Sabalenka combined. So that's how big Sonia Mirza was, and will be. But Eala going to be seeded for the first time at a 1,000. To find out who she will play in the second round, check out the draw.
In 2026, the professional discourse surrounding Alex Eala looks like this. Not cautious, not calculated, and not using the standard diplomatic tennis media vocabulary that portrays everyone as a formidable rival with a promising future. That is no longer the topic of discussion. Sam Querrey and Steve Johnson, two former ADP players, recently sat down and addressed a topic aloud that many in the sport have been silently considering. Is Alex Eala now the most attractive player in women's tennis? Johnson replied in the affirmative. Perhaps, but she's not making progress. Indeed. Since a certain phrase is the biggest draw, that response merits more analysis. The best player is not implied. It does not imply the highest ranking. It refers to who assigns seats, crashes internet systems, and causes organizers to worry about crowd control before a game even begins. In 2026, the case for Eala is actually hard to refute on that particular issue. This current surge of expert attention really began to build in Australia, so let's return there. People covering Eala's bouts at the Australian Open described the environment as crazy, with queues that seemed to go on forever. Crowds that, based only on ranking, lacked a rational explanation. The kind of pre-match excitement that Grand Slam organizers typically associate with top seeds in quarterfinals was created by a player who was ranked outside of the top 30 at the time. It felt more like a concert attendance than a tennis crowd due to the massive, boisterous Filipino fan presence. For background, players from fervent countries are not the first to exhibit this phenomena. However, even seasoned tennis players are finding it difficult to fit Eala's scope into the comparisons that are already in use. One analyst made a serious comparison to Sonia Mesa when asked which female celebrity receives this kind of travel assistance wherever she goes. At the height of her fame, MSA had Indian admirers all over the world, and she currently has approximately 13 million Instagram followers, roughly 5 million more than Carlos Alcaraz and nearly as many as Alcaraz and Sabalenka put together. Genuine cross-cultural influence in tennis looks like that, and specialists now claim that the ceiling is greater. Manny Pacquiao was approached by someone else during the conversation, which reveals all the details of the frame of reference being employed. At his best, Pacquiao was among the most well-known athletes worldwide. In the Philippines, his battles were national spectacles. His schedule caused the entire nation to reorganize. In terms of total prize money and endorsement revenue, he was reputedly making as much as Roger Federer during the height of his career. The discourse has officially strayed from the norm when tennis commentators begin to point to Manny Pacquiao as the closest analogy they can find. To be clear, these similarities are not being made by fans. These are former professional athletes and commentators who have devoted their careers to observing this sport and attempting to maintain objectivity. Since the fan support isn't merely emotional and doesn't originate from nowhere, let's discuss what is truly causing this. Eala is producing something the sport hasn't quite seen in this exact shape previously due to a certain set of characteristics. First of all, the narrative is remarkably captivating. Eala received training at the Rafael Nadal Academy. She was raised away from home and honed her skills in one of the most fiercely competitive tennis environments in Spain. She rose through the junior levels, won junior Grand Slam titles, and then started the arduous process of turning junior achievement into professional outcomes on the main tour, where, as any tennis fan knows, the majority of junior champions quietly vanish. There is a harsh tunnel from young star to actual WTA presence, and most do not fulfill their potential. Eala persevered, and she did so in a way that struck a profound chord with her waiting and observing fan base. Her victory over the top-ranked player in the world at the time was the kind of outcome that changes people's perceptions of a player, not only because of who she defeated, but also because of the way she responded to it. She didn't need to act out a reaction for the cameras because of her elegance, poise, and humility in that time. Such actions are remembered. It fosters a particular kind of loyalty that is difficult to cultivate. Second, she represents a sizable and mostly unexplored market for tennis. One of the world's fastest-growing regions for sports consumption is Southeast Asia. Global sports organizations have spent years attempting to find out how to take advantage of the Philippines and the surrounding region's digital penetration, social media participation, and desire for live sports programming. Eala appeals to more than just that market. She represents that market in a more visible and intimate manner. There is more going on than just sports appreciation when a Filipino fan listens in to watch her play, travels across a continent to watch her at a Grand Slam, or keeps refreshing a webpage until the stream loads. It is the pinnacle of an individual sport's cultural representation. It's witnessing someone who, like you and hails from your hometown, compete on the world's largest stages. Rankings don't power that emotional engine. It is based on identity. Additionally, identity moves more quickly than nearly everything else in the sports marketing and media world of 2026. Thirdly, she plays good tennis. Influence without performance is a brief story, thus this component is crucial. Eala is really talented technically. The hand-eye coordination is superb. Coaches have identified her ability to take the ball early and reroute it to alter a point's geometry before an opponent has a chance to reset as a true weapon. It is not only aesthetically pleasing but also structurally sound. It causes issues that players who are ranked higher than her have found difficult to resolve. She had a lot of momentum going into 2026, made significant progress in Dubai, and climbed 16 places in the rankings to a career high of number 31 in late February. Because of that ranking, she has a first round by going into Indian Wells, one of the largest combined events on the circuit. She also has a season record of 106, which indicates that she is participating, winning, and improving. This is not a widely shared tale about a player who has trouble on the court, but is well-liked on social media. The on-court findings are improving, and the timing of that improvement has coincided with the increase in public awareness in a way that supports both. This is the point at which the scenario becomes truly intriguing from a structural and business perspective. Directors of tournaments in the Middle East and Southeast Asia have publicly compared her ability to draw crowds to that of Manny Pacquiao. Having witnessed everything in this sport and finding it difficult to be inspired, Novak Djokovic has called